Describe that journey, your journey in corporate America. How would you describe how that journey, as you look at it as a whole, how would you describe the basis, the tone, and the content of that journey?
Not for nothing, I'm very thankful for my experience in corporate America and nonprofit world. But what I will say is, you're often advocating for yourself when no one else will advocate for you. And I, cracked the glass ceiling, if you will, and made a good amount of money. But one thing I realized was I was just surviving in many of these environments. And the one thing I realized after 15 years of my career, Dr. Sean, is that I no longer want to just survive. I want to thrive. And being the only one, you shouldn't get a badge of honor. What am I going to do to make the workplace better than I found it? And that's making sure that women and underrepresented groups have a seat at the table, or they can have the tools to create their own seats. And so for me, there was a day when there wasn't anyone that looked like me in the room, right? And everybody was okay with that. And when I got there, I was just so grateful to be there. But I realized that securing our seat requires me to use my voice in certain ways. And so I learned a lot, and it was the reason why I wrote the memo, because I wanted others, I needed to share the secret sauce, so to speak.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about the book in a little while, but I want to dig a little bit, if I may.
Yeah.
I'm trying to have my audience have a sense of what it felt like. Not so much, maybe what you accomplished, which we'll talk about in a little while, but what did it feel like to be at that table, to be in those spaces, and to be you, to be the only one, to bring what you brought? What did that journey, as you look back on it and reflect about it, what did it feel like?
It was tough. I'm a first generation college student, and then going into an environment where you are at the country clubs, right? At the 7 course meals, and not knowing what fork you should be using or what wine glass you should be grabbing for. You sometimes wonder if you should even be in these rooms. So you're constantly questioning, do you belong, right? Because you don't see anyone that looks like you. I mean, there were days that colleagues would call me a Black girl at the table, right? Or would talk about, you people love your bright colors, things like that. And there's certain times where you feel like you can't even say anything, right? Because then you're going to be perceived as an angry Black woman. And so there's a lot of mental gymnastics that goes through being the only one. And you only know that if you've ever been in that situation, and how isolating it can be.
Listen, first of all, it sounds exhausting. And, and second of all, I think I'd have slapped the hell out of somebody and lost my job.
Hey,
I have
I don't
no
think they know what angry is in the real world, because we deal with a lot. Ashanti says all the things that we accept be the things that we regret. I have a lot of regret.
You really are a hip hop fan. You really are. And you're in the right place for it, Harlem. I honor that, because I think it's so important for people who are watching to realize what you're feeling and what you may be experiencing at your job and your corporate space is not unique to you. Black women, Black people, people of color, different people have felt that same thing. And the good news is they survived it, and so can you.
Yep. And you're not crazy. It's that mental gymnastics that you're always questioning. Is it me? Did I do something wrong? When it's actually the environment is just too toxic. And sometimes we have to exit stage left. And that's something that I think we really need to talk about as well. We don't have to stay.
Yeah. No, we're going to get to that. But let me change gears and ask you a subtle question. And that is, when you were a little girl, what was the dream job?
Actually, I wanted to be a dentist, Dr. Shaw.
Really?
Yeah, and I started along that path, but then chemistry got really, really hard, man. If I'm being honest, but that was the dream job. Yeah.
And you were like exit stage left?
I was like, it wasn't my ministry. I realized, sometimes I knew I had to find another route.
No, and let me say this, and this is somewhat serious. I think just as it is important to know how to be successful and how to maximize that success, and you tell me what you think about this. I think it's also equally important to know when something is not for you.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I believe we have to adhere to life's expiration dates, and some things we need to get out of it and move on because it causes more pain when we stay in something that we shouldn't be in.
I used to say on my show, I've been on since October, and early on in the show, I used to say, people would look at me funny, that I have the gift of goodbye. Like, I will be gone and forget I was ever there. I mean, anyway, so let's get to more of what we want to think through tonight. And because tonight is all about the audience understanding how you create for yourself, for your family, for your generations, for your race, whatever it is, how you create a seat at the table. My question to you is quite simple. As you moved into the space where you were dealing with, major corporations, major donors, how did you literally, pragmatically, practically create a seat at the table for yourself?
That's a great question. And really, it came out of frustration, always being the only one and not having anyone you could really talk to in the environment and not seeing anyone in leadership that looks like you. And I started to look at the business books and career books that were out there. And I thought, wow, there's a gap. And we're not talking about Black women, women of color in the workplace. We're talking about all women, which really is white women. And then we're asterisks. So I said, you know what? I see a lane. I feel like, I've been a Black woman my whole life, Dr. Sean, so I know what it feels like. So I am the expert in my opinion. And so I thought, who's advocating on our behalf? And I wanted to be able to, we had so many of our ancestors and elders who blazed trails for us. Who am I blazing trails for? And who am I making it better for? And so I saw that there was a gap in conversation about women of color in the workplace. And that's where I started going. I leaned into that courage, as you said early on in the show.